There's one 2 seats behind you, sir. Okay, it's coming.
That way.
So, look what you're seeing out here. This is the coastline, the bays and inlets of the Atlantic Ocean.
Cái này là biển Atlantic.
How many people at home live close to water? You can understand why, right?
Nước muối.
And these people that live out here, most of them, it said that 50,000 people commute to work in the Halifax area. So these people would commute to work, and some of them are fishermen, and some of them work in the woods around here, but for the most part, they would commute into Halifax for their day job. Now, a few minutes ago, I gave you a little bit of a geography lesson. I'm going to give you a history lesson now. The history lesson deals with how this area was discovered. Now, I mentioned to you Newfoundland and Labrador. They have a very active tourism industry. And 3 or 4 years ago, they came out with a video. And this video said, nearly 500 years before Columbus discovered America, the Vikings discovered Newfoundland. Yeah. And Newfoundland, the northwest corner of Newfoundland, there's a place called Lanson Meadows. And this is where the Vikings established a small village. In the 1950s and 60s, Norwegian archaeologists and scientists came here for more of the unveiling of this little Viking village. So this was the year 1000. Okay, Columbus discovered 1492.
Thank you.
But so almost 500 years before that, the Vikings came this way. Now, next group to come this way were led by a gentleman by the name of John Cabot. Now, John Cabot was an Italian, but he was leading the English in coming this way. His job was to find the land of spices. Well, of course, no one knew that North America was here, so he wasn't finding the land of spices, but what he found was an ocean teeming with fish. Cabot went back to England and told the king of what he had found, and the next year the king sent him out with 3 ships. John Cabot and those 3 ships were never seen again. It was like they were lost in a perfect storm.
Oh.
So, English coming this way, that was in the late 1400s. Blank period for over a century, and then the French came this way. And one of the leaders of the French was a gentleman by the name of Samuel D. Champlain, and some of you may have heard of Lake Champlain in the United States. Well, he came this way, and he chose to stay on an island in the Bay of Fundy. Now, the Bay of Fundy is a huge bay between New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. That's where the world's highest tides are found, and I'll tell you more about that a little bit later. The Bay of Fundy. Now, in the Bay of Fundy, he stayed on an island because he was worried about what might happen with the native population. Turned out he didn't have to worry about that. He had to worry about having the proper foodstuffs, and they didn't. And 1/4 of those settlers died during that time on that island in the Bay of Fundy. The next year, he moved to what today is known as Port Royal, and he established the fort there called the Habitation at Port Royal. He also started the first social society in North America because he wanted his settlers to be in good spirits, so to speak.